Caudy, Claude Lefty Williams, Happy Felsch, Buck Weaver, Swede Risberg, Fred McMullen, and Shoeless Joe Jackson. Is there anything positive to come from the Black Sox scandal? Well, in a way, yes. Eddie Collins, the second baseman for the team, who was not in on the fix, mainly because the 8 ball players knew he would not go along with it, would end his career with 3,000 hits and be among the first set of ball players inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1939. Baseball has had many exciting and flamboyant players and managers, but the game has also had some exciting owners as well. One of the game's most noteworthy showmen was Bill Veeck. He owned 3 baseball teams in his lifetime, the Cleveland Indians, the St. Louis Browns, and the White Sox. Veeck was quite a performer who did a variety of events. One involved having fans in the stands hold up yes and no signs to indicate what the team should do during game situations. Veeck also had his team integrated with players like Satchel Paige and Larry Doby. With the White Sox, Veeck had different ethnic night celebrations and the ever-so-famous exploding scoreboard. However, Veeck's greatest promotional gimmick took place on August 19, 1951 at Sportsman Park, where the Browns were playing the Detroit Tigers. In the second game of a doubleheader, Veeck sent up 3'7" midget Eddie Gaedel to pinch hit. Gaedel had the number 1/8 on his back. Veeck had paid Gaedel to do this and assured him he would go down in baseball history. As Gaedel carried a bat to home plate, the crowd went crazy, and so did the Tigers as well as the umpires. When they claimed that Gaedel was not a bona fide ball player, Veeck appeared on the field with a contract with Gaedel's name on it, proving that he was with the Browns. Veeck also challenged just what the height of a major leaguer should be. A few minutes later, Gaedel batted, and he walked on 4 straight pitches. Gaedel, upon reaching first base, was replaced by a pinch runner. Gaedel then doffed his cap and waved to the crowd as he joined his teammates in the dugout. But it was his only moment of glory, as the time came where this would not be allowed to happen again. The American League president would soon forbid Gaedel to appear in another ball game. But Veeck delighted the crowd, and he was right. Gaedel's name was found in baseball books for this historic moment. Did you know that women in organized baseball dates back to the 1860s? In 1866, Vassar College formed teams, but they did not last long. Spectators claimed that the sport was too violent, but some teams continued into the 1880s and 90s. Women really got recognition in baseball in the 1940s during the war, when Philip Wrigley, owner of the Cubs, created the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League. Wrigley wanted to maintain interest in the sport while the war had caused declining attendance at major league games. Tryouts were held at Wrigley Field, and hundreds of hopefuls came. 4 teams did get formed: the Rockford Peaches, Racine Bells, Kenosha Comets, and the South Bend Blue Sox. Eventually, more teams joined the league. The lady players were put through exercise drills during practices to keep in shape between ball games. Many of the players had played softball on teams throughout the country and were able to make the transition to hardball. There was definitely some good talent in those leagues in those days, and the players excelled at hitting for power as well as hitting for high batting averages. One standout player was Joanne Weaver, who batted .429 one season and led her league in hitting 3 times. Many players also topped 300 averages while they were playing. The players were also adept at fielding and showed some strong defensive skills, and some of the women were good at playing more than one position, as well as being able to fill in at pitching. And even base stealing was popular with the players, as one player, Sophie Curries of the Racine Bells, averaged over 100 stolen bases a season on more than one occasion. The ladies were definitely crowd pleasers wherever they played, and photo sessions were sometimes arranged, and people could also get autographs. Many of the players enjoyed the attention they got, as well as showing off their talent. The Girls' Professional Baseball League, however, began to decline in the late 40s, but it definitely showed that women were destined to succeed at the sport. One-year attendance figures exceeded 1 million, which proved that there was definitely a following among the people in the Midwest. Even former Major League ball players like Jimmy Fox, to name a few, became managers for the women's teams, and they were able to pass along their knowledge of the game to the lady ball players. Joe Dimaggio arrived in the major leagues in 1936 with the Yankees. The Yankee Clipper, as he would soon be called, batted .323 that year and led the league in triples with 15. The Yanks would win the World Series that year and the next 3 years. All totaled, Dimaggio would play in the series 10 times for the Bronx Bombers, winning 9 of them. But without doubt, Joltin' Joe's greatest feat was his 56-game hitting streak in 1941. From May 15th through July 16th, he hit safely. The streak began against the White Sox and ended with the Cleveland Indians. In the streak, Dimaggio batted .408 with 91 hits, among them 15 home runs. He would miss 3 years for military duty, return in 1946, and then retire in 1951. But did you know that Dimaggio, while in the minor leagues in the Pacific Coast League in 1933, had hit in an incredible 61 games? And he had 2 brothers, Dominic and Vince, also play Major League Baseball. A few years later, after his playing days, Dimaggio was a newsmaker again. Seeing a photo of a rather pretty blonde actress posing with 2 White Sox players in publicity shots, Dimaggio wanted to meet the woman. She was, of course, Marilyn Monroe, and soon Joe was able to meet her in New York. From there, a relationship grew for a couple of years before they were married. They honeymooned in Japan and Korea, where Marilyn was, of course, a huge success with the servicemen over there.
It was fun being in Korea. Boy, those servicemen cheered. I thought they'd stampede the stage. But Joe didn't mind. One thing's for sure, the men overseas are the same as the ones in America. I don't know why.
But the storybook marriage lasted less than a year, even though Dimaggio and Marilyn remained on good terms until her death in 1962. Dimaggio, to no one's surprise, was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1955. His 56-game hitting streak record stands to this day. Tony Cloninger pitched in the majors for 12 years and won 113 games. In July of 1966, however, with the Atlanta Braves while playing the San Francisco Giants in San Francisco, Cloninger also displayed some impressive hitting as well. With the Braves already ahead 3-0 in the first inning, Cloninger batted with the bases loaded. He clobbered a grand slam home run. In the 4th inning, he came to bat again with the bases full. Guess what? Cloninger again blasted a grand slam. 2-1 game, and for a pitcher. But Cloninger wasn't done yet. He got another base hit and drove in yet another run. Cloninger had 9 RBIs for the game, and he was also the winning pitcher, beating the Giants 17-3. The summer of 1969 produced a number of newsworthy events: Man Walking on the Moon, the Woodstock concert in New York, and in baseball, the Chicago Cubs held on to first place in their division for over 4 months. With such star players as Ron Santo, Ferguson Jenkins, Billy Williams, and Ernie Banks, the North Siders had a 9-game lead in mid-August over the New York Mets. In the first week of September, the Cubs still had a 5-game lead, but the last month of the season they went 10-18, including an 8-game losing streak, while the Mets were 24-8. The Mets won the division as well as the playoffs and the World Series. In addition to the star ball players who were on the Cubs, there were a number of reserve ball players. Let us examine one who would visit a local diner after home games, and we can see why. Hey, Marie, we won today 8-3. We're 8 games in front, and it's the end of July. The Cubs are going to win this year.
That's great, Hank. Did you get to play?
No, I didn't. But when we go out on the road, I'll probably get to play then. I tell you, we make it to the playoffs this year, we get to make some extra money.
It's been exciting having a real ball player in here.
Well, Marie, it's been a lot of fun having you wait on me, and I'll tell you, we get to the playoffs, we'll make some extra money, and Marie, you are my favorite waitress, and is there any type of a celebration gift that I can get you?
A Mustang convertible?
That's not entirely out of the question.
Ooh. Gosh, the Cubs are 3 games behind the Mets, and I haven't seen Hank in 2 weeks. Hank, I haven't seen you in 3 weeks.
Oh, Marie, the Mets won the division last night. We lost, and this was supposed to be our year.
I'm sorry.
About that Mustang convertible, hey, would you settle for a used Chevy? Despite many accomplished hitters in baseball, there have only been 2 players to ever have 7 base hits in one game. Both times it happened in the 1970s, once in both leagues. In June of 1970, in the American League, Cesar Gutierrez of the Detroit Tigers got 7 hits, 5 of them coming in the 9-inning regulation time. In the 10th inning, Gutierrez singled, and in the 12th inning, he singled again for his 7th hit. He was a perfect 7 for 7, with 1 hit being a double, and 2 of them infield hits. Gutierrez only played in 223 games in his major league career, and he had a lifetime batting average of .235. On September 16th of 1975, Rennie Stennett of the Pittsburgh Pirates in the National League recorded 7 base hits against the Cubs at Wrigley Field in a 9-inning game. The Pirates mutilated the Cubs 22-0, and twice Stennett got 2 hits in an inning, and he ended his perfect 7 for 7 day with 2 doubles and a triple. Stennett played in over 1,200 games and 11 seasons in the majors, and had a lifetime .274 batting average. The designated hitter has been in effect in the American League in baseball for close to 30 years. In the late 60s and early 70s, National League franchises were stronger in attendance than the American League. Plus, American League teams were doing rather poorly in run production, and team batting averages were declining. In 1973, the American League rewrote the rule book as they invented the designated hitter. This involved a player who would bat instead of the pitcher, but that player would not play a defensive position on the field. The National League refused to accept the DH and continued to let their pitchers bat. On April 6, 1973, baseball history was made in a game between the Yankees and the Red Sox when the designated hitter was first used. But do you know who the first DH was? Ron Blomberg of the Yankees holds that title. Blomberg batted in the first inning with the bases loaded and got a walk to force in a run. The Red Sox DH that day was veteran player Orlando Cepeda, who was 0 for 6 in the 15-5 loss. Who were the first DHs for the other American League teams that year? Well, here they are. Baltimore Orioles, it was Terry Crowley. Tom McCraw for the California Angels. Mike Andrews of the White Sox. John Ellis for the Cleveland Indians. Gates Brown for Detroit. Ed Kirkpatrick for the Kansas City Royals. Ollie Brown for the Milwaukee Brewers. Tony Oliva for the Minnesota Twins. Bill North for the Oakland A's. And Rico Carty for the Texas Rangers. A ball player can gain attention and respect from fans for doing a number of things on the ball field: hitting a home run, stealing a base, or making a fine defensive play. However, a different type of situation occurred on a ball field that earned a player great respect that did not involve anything related to the game. On April 25, 1976, the Los Angeles Dodgers were hosting the Cubs. The Cubs center fielder was Rick Monday, and in the 4th inning, Monday saw a man and a boy jump out of the stands. The two stopped in the outfield and unrolled the American flag. They then pulled out a can of lighter fluid and began to light a match. Monday, seeing what the two were going to do, raced towards them. Luckily, the demonstrators' first match blew out in the wind. Soon after Monday reached the two, he grabbed the flag and ran from them. "If you're going to burn the flag, don't do it in front of me," was what Monday said to the two. Monday then ran towards the infield and handed the flag to a Dodger player. The two demonstrators were then apprehended by security. Monday's actions made him a hero throughout the United States, and the incident made many newspapers and magazines. Interesting enough, in 1977, Monday was then traded to the Dodgers, where he helped the team to 3 pennants and a world title. Monday once again would be a hero, this time for a game-related situation. In 1981, the Dodgers and the Montreal Expos were in Game 5 of the National League Championship Series, tied at 1-1 in the top of the 9th inning. With 2 out, the veteran Monday hit a home run to win the game for Los Angeles and advance them to the World Series. It's the 9th inning, and we're coming to the conclusion of our program. I hope you enjoyed this look back on some of the interesting histories and facts of Major League Baseball. I do want to point out some thank yous to a number of people who came through with some base hits for our program. The staff down here at TV 99, Martin Beakley, Don Varda, and Pat Dozel, and also to some of the other participants of the program: Sue Copeland, the owner and operator of Costume World, for assisting with costumes for the program; Betsy Opit, Tony Simmons, Cindy Taylor, Kristen Van Alstine, and Jackie Mellon. I'm Bill Landing. Don't forget, in addition to